Bank2Budget, Design Considerations and Overview Steps. Before using Bank2Budget, it's a good idea that you go over a few areas here so that you understand transactions and you can build yourself a useful and meaningful financial database. We'll go over these in demonstrations shortly, but there are 4 areas we'd like for you to know and understand. The first area is that not all banking transactions qualify. Basically, there are transfers that are recorded in your checking account that really do not reflect a true revenue or expense transaction. We'll go over that type of scenarios too. Second, have a basic idea of what personal categories you'd like to track in your database. This example on the website shows that there is a medical category, but you do have the option of actually recording medical for yourself or dad or mom, etc. We'll go over that as well. The same applies to the next entry, which is eating out versus food expenses. In a national standard, the financial budget standards, they class eating out as optional living expenses, whereas food is groceries. So we'll go over exactly how you would class and change your database so that it's easily marked in those areas. And finally, budget versus non-budget. There are many more videos below that will go into detail and assist you. This is a quick overview of the application, so don't worry if it's fast or brisk. There are more videos to train you below. Okay. Here is a sample database, John's budget application. The alert up here shows that he does have new transactions to process. Go and process some transactions. The first transaction that came up is recording a transfer. John moved some $504 from his savings to his checking. This does not qualify as a revenue stream. It's pretty much just a transfer, so this is something that you would want to record in details and click the omit this transaction button. From the checking account, just write it omit and go back to continue marking transactions. Second is an interesting expense transfer that came out. John has a $7,000 yearly expense, property tax, housing insurance, etc. that he pays for himself. He wants to make sure he has that money at the end of each year. So on a monthly basis, he transfers out $711 to cover this expense. This again is a transfer and should be omitted from your Bank2Budget. Yearly for expense. Okay, now we'll go over a few transactions as we see it here. Whataburger, a $15 transaction, expense transaction that is eating out. If you notice, Bank2Budget does not really come with comes with basic categories here. There is no eating out or dining out. There's no groceries actually. There's just food here. So we'll go through the steps of adding that. Second, I'd like to show you is here's groceries from a grocery store. Groceries again. Okay, here's a first. This transaction here was a transaction that John needed some cold medicine. Once again, this is he does have the option of recording it as medical, but if he wanted to class his category so that he has his own medical as well as his wife and children, then we'll go through that too. At this time, let's go ahead and do it. You want to get out of the screen and go to your data maintenance screen. And in your data maintenance screen, you do have a category section here where you can add new categories. Make sure you've checked add new categories. And from my memory, I know that I need to add a grocery. And groceries tie back to household food and supplies. Second one is an eating out category that I'd like to do. And eating out, as I said before, is optional living expenses. Okay, so make sure these are checked. Submit addition only. And if you look at view current categories, you will see your new categories are in there. Groceries and eating out. Let's add some more. Okay, this is a medical. Yeah, I put the underscore there. Medical dad, and it ties back to the national category of medical. Medical mom. And I submit. Okay, now since I've got medical dad and mom, I may want to delete the existing category of medical. And the other one is as well, I've got eating out and I've got groceries, so food is something that I would like to omit as well. Actually delete it. Delete selected categories. Look at current. And there I've got my categories. Okay, if I close back to the main form, go in and use my, start marking my transactions. This here is a treat at Whataburger, and that is eating out. And I click next. This is groceries, food. There is no food here, there's groceries. Again, food. Okay, here's dad flu medicine, and it would be under medical dad, and mom's pills. Okay, I click next and there's no more records to process. If I refresh my screen, it will say that again and go back and my link is gone. Now, finally, hopefully that clears things up as to how you can add and edit your expenses that come with Bank2Budget, as well as making sure that you're not double recording expenses, etc. Finally, budget versus non-budget. If you'll notice in that form that we were just in, there is a checkbox to say budget or non-budget in the reports category, in the reports form. You'll notice that at the bottom you do have a filter that shows exactly, gives you the option of clicking a chart so that you can see a chart on your data as well as budget data here. A lot of people, if they are ending up at a net loss, like John here has an average of $1,100 of loss each month, when in a total sense, he would go to non-budget and open up either the chart or the data table. We'll open up the data table here and show you how useful, what the purpose of budget and non-budget is. Now, non-budget, there's usually a lot of activity that's in your home or in your pleasure category. Of course, you can rename your categories if you wish at the beginning. But let's take a look here. 2008 and so on. We're looking at some trends here. If I look at 2010, if you double click the total form, you'll note it expands, and your details that you've marked in here are actually showing that there were a few personal trips that were considered non-budget, making wine, car, wireless headphones. This is helpful to show you simply maybe why you are maybe not achieving the net you wanted in the end of the month. 2011, we have another Greece trip and a Korea trip. Home would be interesting to look at. A car accident, towing fee, a water pump replacement, various types of blinds for the windows, and entertainment center. All these things here, you want to make sure you recognize that they are not a budgeted known item, that they are something that is really non-budgeted. Good example is on the website, showing that a car expense, an oil change is still want to class as budget, and a replacing of a transmission is something that is really not expected and would be classed as non-budget. And once you've kept track of that, you'll know that there is value added here as far as classing your not budgeted and non-budgeted categories. So once again, I appreciate your interest. We all appreciate your interest in Bank2Budget, and we hope you enjoy the application and find it useful.